What's up everybody and welcome back to Doctor Who Season 2! Series 15 people. Doctor Who Lux has hit the community like crack in the 80s and for the first time in a while it seems to be wholeheartedly positive. Let's go! And of course in typical DW Fan 91 contrarian bastard fashion, the video that I uploaded, my review, was negative? Question mark, question mark, question mark. But only if you don't listen to anything I say. While it is true that my review of Lux was not as, how do I say this, unconditional, it was still mostly positive and I have a lot to say. With that said, I think all of your guys' comments were amazing and it really helped me appreciate the episode that much more. It's one of those things where, as I mentioned in the previous video, your mood on the day and how you're feeling, it really can affect how you interact with a piece of media. And now that I've rewatched it a couple times over and also watched a few clips, I can safely say that my enjoyment of this episode, which was already pretty high, has risen even higher. Kind of similarly to the Robot Revolution, except there was never really a part of the Robot Revolution where I was thoroughly turned away, if that makes sense. Miffed? Is that the correct word? Either way, welcome back guys to another community reaction video. This one's filmed a bit earlier. Usually I wait a few days. I usually record these on Monday or Tuesday. Right now I am recording on Sunday and hopefully I should be editing this one pretty quick to go out shortly after. Hopefully it doesn't take that long. These videos are pretty difficult to put together and I want to make sure they're still good, right? I mean, what's the point of a video just being pure dog shit? That said, I go back and I watch my old videos and whoa Nelly, how did I get any subscribers? Speaking of which, thank you so much for all of the love and support on the previous videos. As I've said time and time again, you are the best community in the whole universe and honestly, I don't deserve you, but please stick around anyway because it would be sad to see you leave. How are we feeling about the episode? That's rhetorical. I know you guys loved it. But before we talk about that, before we get a few comments, before we get some polls, I just wanted to talk about my assessment of the episode. It really can't be understated just how gorgeous this episode looks, from the costuming to the cinematography to the impeccable 2D design work done on Mr. Ringerding. It all comes together to create probably the best Doctor Who episode visually ever. Probably. Before this, I would say that the Series 12 three-parter took the spot, but now I do think it has finally been eclipsed. It took a while. 73 Yards was definitely up there as well. Heaven Sent, brilliantly directed episode. But a lot of episodes, even the episodes I liked a lot of last series, like Boom, they weren't really on the same level visually as this one. And that's not to say Boom was an ugly episode. I've seen some people say that. I think the technology that it was using was brilliant. And The Devil's Cord, that was a really gorgeous looking episode as well, but this is just, I mean, a step above. They're not really comparable. Varada Sethu as Belinda Chandra is impeccable yet again. I think this is head and shoulders better than last week, and I really liked her in last week's episode. There's a real depth in her character, the situation that she's put herself in. I saw some people saying that the characterization felt a bit rushed. I felt like this is the perfect time, about towards the very end of episode 2, that a companion should be warming up to the Doctor and should trust the Doctor. I like the bit where it's like, we're gonna go now, right? And the Doctor's like, hell no. The comedy in this episode is top notch, and I can't believe I didn't mention in the last video, Alan Cummings' voice acting as Mr. Ringerding. It's insane. He brings the character to life. Of course, again, massive props to the animation. It's something I haven't seen in Doctor Who before. The thing that springs to mind is Cuphead. I mentioned this in my reaction and the initial trailer reaction. It is very reminiscent of Cuphead and I love Cuphead. It's very true to the cartoons of the past and that performance is generational. Generational performance. I remember people saying about the Maestro, oh, they're not as good as the Toymaker. I do think that Mr. Ringerding is better than the Toymaker. I think Mr. Ringerding's better than Sutek and Maestro, and I like Maestro. The Pantheon is really finally coming together now. We've got 4 unconfirmed, 5. Mrs. Flood is definitely one of them.
No, don't make me laugh.
Across 2 series, I feel like that is perfectly fleshed out amount. The concept is actually pretty good. I remember people saying, oh, Doctor Who is too fantasy now. That's in the same season as Boom and Joy to the World and even Dot and Bubble. Yes, the Toymaker has more fantastical elements, but you have to remember that the episode right before that was Wild Blue Yonder. I feel like this era has it all, really. I'm really enjoying it so far. And again, it's a shame that it seems to be all coming to an end. I've got to be honest about it. The best case scenario, and this is the best case scenario, right, is that we get new Doctor Who in 2027. That's the best case scenario. As I mentioned in the review, the show is in a very fragile state, and I think I was very aware of that going in. If you watch my community reaction video, I lamented this fact again and again. I was like, I just don't want to focus on the out-of-world politics of the show. I just want to focus on the show. And then the very next episode has the words #RIP Doctor Who in the script. I mean, I couldn't have thought of worse timing, could I? Typical DW fan 91 luck. I've seen a lot of people mistakenly, and this is the curse of fandom, because I hate to be the one to burst the bubble. I hate to be the one to crash the party, spoil the fun, but a lot of people have been saying, oh, Russell T Davies intentionally leaked it. Russell T Davies, oh, he made cancellation rumors. No, he didn't. We know, and this is kind of a curse again, this has been the most transparent era of modern Doctor Who ever. Probably Doctor Who ever, actually. The most transparent era creatively. We know all of Rusty Davies' thought processes, creative decisions. We know that he's not lying because we know how they work from before. He has been shockingly open in interviews and Doctor Who Unleashed and Confidential and all of that BS. Hell, he has a book right here that's like 800 pages long. I've got it in my hands where he goes in depth, and of course this is edited, so all of the really explicit stuff is gone, but still, I mean, I've read this. He goes really in depth into all his thought process and judgments and quite harsh stuff. So we know him in and out, and we know the production schedule of this series in and out, and we know that it was filmed back to back with series 1, and we know they obviously wanted series 1 to be a hit. So you're telling me that they intentionally tanked series 1 so that the series 2 plotline could work? What the fuck is that? Obviously, that's not true. I know that the leaked gag is in response to By Generation getting leaked, because he talked about that on Confidential, I mean Unleashed or whatever, and he talked about it ahead of time, and he talked about it on the commentary, and I also know that this special was being made at the time the giggle was airing, so I should not have that much information, and that's kind of my problem with the meta scene in general. Sometimes less is more. Who knows, maybe those characters will show up again in the finale. I saw a theory, this is a fun theory, that they're actually the gods of Ragnarok, and if they go down that route, hell yeah, this might be redeemed. But there is such a thing as saying too much information, as giving too much away. On that same wavelength, I've never really been a fan of The Greatest Show in the Galaxy, the season 25 episode. I tried to rewatch it again this year when the box set came out, and I just didn't enjoy it. It was too cerebral, and again, the self-aware elements, and keep in mind that is so much tamer than this episode, but even that was a bit too much for me. Russell T Davies, I understand, if you watch this scene, and I've watched it again, there is a lot of love there, and I understand that there are some people in the audience who enjoy that kind of stuff, and that's fair, okay, but this is just me. I'm explaining why I had that personal reaction to the scene in the episode, and of course, I don't like that they don't play I Am the Doctor. How could you blue ball us like that, show? Speaking of soundtracks, the sound cues in this episode were immaculate. I actually think that's part of the reason why it's so popular. People love the Murray Gold soundtrack. Part of the reason why the 13th Doctor wasn't quite as loved is because that is just absent. And so playing 11th Doctor songs multiple times throughout the episode, I think there was Abigail's song, I think there was Amy's song, and I think there was Sad Lonely Man in the Box, so that's 3. That really does just bring people back. Dot and Bubble, the end of Dot and Bubble was used again as a motif. It's just impeccable, and I think that they used it really well here, and as you can see by the online reaction, people love it. People love it. They love the soundtrack, they love the episode, they love the fan scene. I'm by far in the minority there. What it really reminded me of was Red Dwarf Back to Earth, and I think if you've ever seen that, you realize why I'm kind of so against these meta plots, because that one kind of starts out funny and quaint and then quickly just becomes so awful, and I just don't want Doctor Who to go that far. Giving credit where credit is due, holy fuck, that Blink gag from Varada Sethi, that shit was funny as fuck. Sounds like a real epic. Blink is what I like to call the non-Doctor Who fan favourite, in that if you're not a Doctor Who fan, that's the one you're like, oh, that was really good. You have 3 characters to represent all Doctor Who fans, and you don't have space for the DW fan? Why was I not called in? Obviously, I'm joking. I felt terrible making my initial review because it just sucks being the buzzkill. It really does. It just sucks being the one that goes, actually, I did not like it. It just sucks to be that guy. If I could love it unconditionally, I fucking would. You guys know my attitude to modern Doctor Who, but instead of just mindlessly hating all of it, because I don't, instead I laugh along with it. The moments that I think are silly, I just accept that they're silly. I don't roll my eyes at episodes anymore unless they're really bad. I am fully along with with the flow. I'm really all in. Someone mentioned in a previous video, how is it that you can enjoy Space Babies? Well, it's because I'm a lot more lax with modern Doctor Who. With classic Doctor Who, I'm a lot more judgmental. I'm a lot more picky. I'm a lot more honest, really. With modern Doctor Who, I definitely treat it with kid gloves. But when I say I'm not honest with modern Doctor Who, of course I am. Of course I'm honest with my feelings. If I don't like an episode, I'm going to say that I don't like it. If I like an episode, I'm going to say that I like it. You've got to have some whimsy in your heart. You've got to be able to enjoy yourself. You've got to be able to have fun. You've got to be able to say, okay, well, Moonlight bouncing off a spoon and then bouncing off a wall onto a cartoon character brings it to life. There's no logical sense in that. You kind of just got to shut that part of your brain off and go, whoa, part of the moon, blah, blah, blah. And I do. I genuinely do. I really try not to be a cynical person because it isn't fun. And then that brings me to this situation where I'm in a party where everyone's like 9 out of 10, 10 out of 10, the best Doctor Who episode ever. And I've got to be the one to say, actually, this is the reason why I didn't like it. Not for 1 second do I ever want to convince someone who does like it that they shouldn't like it. Fuck that, man. Own your own opinion. Enjoy what you like. If you enjoy things in this world, do not let anyone snatch that away from you. That is yours, man. With that said, I'm not going to lie in my video, am I? I'm not going to say, well, everyone else likes this, so I'm going to like it. But also, I'm not going to just ignore everyone and say, well, because people are telling me things, that means they must be wrong. Obviously, my opinion is as equal to anyone else's. And similarly to, I'm sure, everyone in the audience, you can inform your own opinion by listening to others, by hearing the perspectives of those around you. And I do that, and it warms me up to the episode. It warms me up to this episode. I love in fandom, and it happens every so often. It really isn't that rare, actually. That moment where a new episode comes out and everyone loves it, and all of the comments are saying best episode in years. I love that phrase, best episode in years. Do you know why I love it? Because it's never true. I remember when Boom came out, everyone was like, best episode in years. 73 Yards, best episode in years. Dot and Bubble, best episode in years. Rogue, best episode in years. Wild Blue Yonder, best episode in years. Power of the Doctor, best episode in years. Halloween Apocalypse, War of the Sontarans, best episode in years. Haunting of Villa Diodati, Fugitive of the Jadoon, Nikola Tesla's Night of Terror, Spyfall, Resolution, Demons of the Punjab, Woman Who Fell to Earth, The Ghost Monument, Rosa, It Takes You Away, best episodes in years. The Doctor Falls, World Enough in Time. Actually, people didn't really like The Doctor Falls when it came out, but World Enough in Time, Extremis, Heaven Sent, In the Forest of the Night. No, wait, not that one. Best episode in years. People just keep saying this shit. Day of the Doctor was the best episode in years. So was The 11th Hour. I think I did this in one of my old videos, but I went back to the fucking 2006 blog posts from 19 years ago and people were saying, oh, best episode in years. I just love it. It's so quintessentially fanish. Every single episode that comes out is the best episode in years. And I love that. I love that moment and I hate to ruin it. So I won't. I'm not going to ruin it because I did enjoy this episode and I don't want to focus on the negatives. Yes, there were certain parts of the episode that I didn't like. Yes, I'm not going to hide that or pretend that I liked every single part of it. At the same time, holy fuck, some parts of this episode are bloody incredible. And I think it is my duty as the DW Fan 91 to document the fan response and compile a community reaction video. Okay, so here's where we're at with the community reaction videos. Of course, naturally, we start with the poll right here on your screen. Then we go into 4 or 5 comments that I handpick out. But just to make sure no one gets excluded throughout the video, even though I won't be reading them out loud, comments will be displayed in the lower third showing everyone's viewpoints. And with all that said, let's get straight to the poll. Okay, now something to keep in mind with this poll is that usually we have several thousand more results, with 62% of audiences rating this episode amazing, 25% saying good, 9% with alright, and 5% on bad. What I'm trying to say is that it's in the upper echelon. People like this one. Here's the main comment I wanted to show from the video. Josie I'll say that again. Josie F. Dave, I don't know if this is controversial, but it was one of, if not my favourite 15th Doctor episode, and I have seen this sentiment echoed a lot. Trust me, a lot of comments were saying the same thing. Favorite 15th Doctor episode, favorite Rusty Davies 2 episode. And unlike that best episode in years comment that you see get passed around a lot, this is actually the first time so far out of both series that I have seen so many people say this is the best of the 15th Doctor. And I wonder wonder how far into the future that will hold. I wonder if by the end of the season, maybe a few other episodes will join those ranks. What I hope is that by the time the 15th Doctor's era inevitably ends, people look back and they realize that actually a lot of it was really quite good. Yes, some people might not like space babies, but even if you don't, come on, the rest is pretty damn consistently great. Here's a nice comment from Life of a Banana 9575. Even when most of the community disagrees with this man, he still respects our opinion and doesn't change his own because it's controversial. Is this man not the GOAT? Bro, you're gonna make me cry. Seriously. It has been a rough time. Hearing the kind words of people. I will never disrespect people's opinions, especially positive opinions. I will never do that. And every single reason for why the episode is good and why people like it, I read it and I think, hell yeah, that's just 100% true. So who am I to disagree? What would I even say, possibly, to argue against people's reasons for disliking it? It's entirely subjective. And while I'm not going to just disregard all of my own thoughts and feelings, I still definitely love to hear yours, and it informs mine. It's like a symbiotic relationship, except I'm the only winner because I'm gaining from you. Anyway, thank you so much for the kind words, man. Thank you for the support from everyone. I got about like 10-20 comments of people saying hope I'll feel better. That did help me feel better, it did. Best community in the world. Here's a good comment from Dr. Hoomst. I thought this episode was absolute peak. Mr. Ringerding is an incredible villain. Shooty and Valida were great, etc, etc. I also really like the meta stuff. I get the criticism of it, but for me, I've always thought that if Doctor Who can go anywhere, be anything, then it can surely have its meta episode or finale. Wink. I do understand what you mean about how far can you cross the line, but none of that matters to me, which is fair enough. The fourth wall has already been shattered by the numerous breaks in the last series. It's a very meta era of the show, definitely. I also get that is it the right time discussion, but to me, any time is as good as any other. I do understand the show's on thin ice, haha, Doctor Who reference, right now, but part of the appeal of Doctor Who for me is that the fact that random stuff comes at random times. True, like remember the time Doctor Who killed Satan? I made a video about that. In a few years time, hopefully, I'm going to think, remember the time Doctor Who found he has 3 guys watching him like a TV show? And I feel like the talk of cancellation is perfect fuel for these kinds of narratives. That's just my opinion though. Long live Doctor Who, and I'm so excited for the well. Well, I think that thoroughly disproves my point of view. Fair enough. I feel like this is the episode we've needed for some time, mainly because it actually feels like it's for the fans. The concept from the outset was already amazing, but all the other things Russell managed to cram into this 45-minute episode just was a twinkle that helped settle me into it. And yes, I liked that part of the episode. Sue me. If they did the bit I thought I was going to hate it, that is fair enough. I think part of the reason why I'm against it is because it's so much for the fans. I'm thinking of the audience who aren't fans. And realistically, that should be most people. Our bubble of the internet, it's great, it's very nice, but at the same time, it's tiny. If it's appealing to us, then yes, a lot of the discussion online will be positive, but how many people will watch it and just be like, what? What's going on? Can someone explain this to me? Actually, don't bother, I don't care. When I was a kid, I loved what I loved and I liked what I liked, and it was all based on me and my opinions and everything. And then you find other people who are like-minded, and that's great. You've got a community, all of that. But when you're introduced to the wider fandom, the online fandom, there is so much toxicity there, and there's, of course, the fandom consensus, which I believe is almost a poison. And I felt like referring to that in the show. I just hate it. I do. I really do. Russell T Davies hates fandom. Do I hate fandom? No, I do not hate Doctor Who fandom. I do kind of hate fandom culture in general across all shows. When people say the Doctor Who fandom is toxic, that's not true. All fandoms are toxic. The Doctor Who fandom is actually relatively really goddamn good. Seriously. You might not think it because I'm sure you've heard hateful stuff said before and blah blah blah. We all have. But if you go to other fandoms, holy fuck. So I think making an episode for fandom is almost the wrong move and the wrong approach. The reason Rusty Davies 1 was so successful is because it never took that approach. Never. Rusty Davies 1, he was very mindful of the fact that it's a new show, that he's reintroducing it, that he's renovating it, that it kind of all banks on him, and that if it doesn't work, then it's all gonna fail. Rusty Davies 2 is more self-assured. He isn't trying to make a new show. He's very mindful of the past. Callbacks galore, callbacks every episode. 3 at least. And there's almost a kind of swag where it's like, yeah, try and cancel us, guys. We're here to stay. Which is, of course, kind of the pride before the fall. But we'll not talk about that because it ruins the vibes. Anyway, I think everything you said is fair and true. And I think that it's partly my fault because a lot of my video was about this discussion, that naturally a lot of the comments are going to be about this as well. So let's move on to the poll, which isn't tainted by my review at all, and is just talking about the first impressions that people had, regardless of my opinion. It's so funny that them saying the episode was leaked and then purposely leaking it in real life is so great. I don't know if they purposely leaked it, but it's a nice thing to think. Here's the comment from Cyber Natasha. I really enjoyed the episode. I won't deny I saw a lot of parallels to Red Dwarf Back to Earth. I mean, that scene was basically the same as the bus scene from that episode in particular. Plus, you have a character who wants to get home but can't. The idea that these fans in other dimensions think, or at least briefly, they are real ones. True, true. True and true. I immediately ran around the house all giddy after watching the episode. I loved it so much. Murray Gold and Rusty Davies really cooked with this one. The score is great and a nice callback to 11. This episode was absolutely bonkers. Proud, bittersweet and unforgettable and even creepy at times. Even it had some very basic tropes like police box means hope or oh no the Doctor's Time Lord shit. I can overlook these because just how fun the episode was. It was really good. A solid 8 to 8.5. I especially liked the fans. I thought they were sweet. I would say that a lot of the episodes of this new era feel shorter. It feels like they've lost 10 minutes of runtime, but they didn't. I don't know why it feels that way, but there you go. I think it's just when you get a bit older you realize the 45-minute format sucks. Sorry, I gotta throw it in every video. Anyway, I think this is the sentiment from most people. 8 to 8.5 all the way up to 10 out of 10. I mean, here's another comment saying 10 out of 10. Here's a great one to end on. Tom from the Discord server. I hope I could get everyone's comments in this video. There were so many people I saw comment such great stuff. This was probably actually the best comment section I've ever gotten on a video in terms of like interesting thought-provoking comments, and so hopefully this community reaction video to the 10 people who are pausing and reading every comment, I hope this is the best one because there are so many good comments and hopefully I can put all of them in. But the last one I'm going to read out is Tom from the Discord server, who kind of mirrors my opinion. Me and Tom were just in sync like that. What up, twin? He says, I definitely agree with 6.5 out of 10. The whole episode I was just kind of thinking, what? I felt like I was just missing the point, but then I was like, now what was the point? Now, yeah, it had really cool moments, but it feels like the episode only exists to show a new god and to show the Doctor meeting his fans, which I didn't hate. But again, I was just thinking, what? Thoroughly bemusing. The only part of the episode that got me hyped was Mrs. Flood. Are we cooked? I'm sorry, she literally said that the show ends on May the 24th. Is the cancellation rumor IRL true? Or is the kid just making us think that it's true? And now Mrs. Flood is trying to get the show cancelled. We getting meta today, people. I think the structure of the episode is a bit disorienting depending on who you are, or very much appreciated. And I think that the majority of people very much appreciate it. It's a lot more slower and meandering. Not in that necessarily they move from place to place, but more so they go to a place and then they kind of talk for a bit, and then they go to another place and then they talk for a bit. Not a bad structure by any means, but vastly different from the Robot Revolution, Joy to the World, Empire of Death, really any of the last episodes of this whole era. That being said, Joy to the World also had an intensely bizarre structure, and this one really isn't that bizarre. The opening setup is designed to pay off with cool set pieces later. I mean, this episode is really back heavy in that all of the stuff happens at the back and the front is all set up. Usually with Rusty Davies episodes, it's kind of just jumping from set piece to set piece. So set piece to start, little bridge, then another set piece, little bridge, then another set piece, etc, etc, which is all very fine and good, but also this structure is also very nice, especially when the payoff is good, which the payoff was good in this episode. The way the villain was defeated was interesting and satisfying. In fact, I do really like the way Mr. Ring-a-Ding goes. It is beautiful. In a way, it is beautiful. And I love the fact that in a way he does become a real god. There is so much to talk about in this episode. This is one that I feel is going to be broken down and dissected in years and years to come, and I think that when I eventually make my overall season 2 review, this is one that I will talk about in great detail. Mainly positive as well. It's crazy because I keep having to justify why I don't like certain bits, but in doing so, I run the risk of overemphasizing the bits that I dislike, implying that they take away massively from parts of the episode that I did like. Similarly to the giggle, I really didn't like, not necessarily the bi-generation ending, but the fate of the 14th Doctor. I still hate it. I still think it's stupid. I still think it cracks the world building of this entire era. With that said, the giggle is a great episode, and I do really like it. Similarly here, I don't really like the fourth wall break fan scene. I don't hate it in the same way that I do the fate of the 14th Doctor, because that is something that really does bug me and scratches the inside of my brain. Here I just find it viscerally cringe. And with that said, I still like the rest of the episode, and again, making a lot of the focus on that, I feel like I have to say that because I can't just say, oh, I don't like it and leave it at that. I have to give a reason, because otherwise I feel like I'm just hating for haters' sake. And as this comment rightfully pointed out, I was more the DW hater 91 in this video, which I think is is good. Allow me to be a hater sometimes. Anyway, good job on you, the kid. And keep it up for next week too. The Well. I am very much looking forward to this one. This is the first episode of the series where I'm like, hell yeah, this one's gonna be great. Or at least I hope. Got very high expectations. I'm kind of certain that it will meet them. Very satisfied with the series so far. Very satisfied with the era so far. Kind of worried about the out of show politics of it all, but I can easily put that aside. And I want to say just before I end off the video, because yes, we're nearing the end, sadly, that for your information, the reaction and review for The Well is going out a little later next week because I won't be around for 8 in the morning. Hopefully after that, I should be doing every review on time. But sadly this week, that simply is an impossibility. I've got stuff to do. But the review will definitely be out. Don't worry, guys. Doctor Who is always my priority. I love the show and I love you. And you know what, buddy? I see you over there in the corner. Russell the Kid T Davies. I love you too, buddy. You did great. What's the final score? Undecided out of 10. And a special thanks to everyone who keeps the show a-going. Channel members and members of the Patreon. I love you all. Voxcom, The Instinct, Kai Keller, Renegade Time Lord 97, Manny, Eric, Ren, Watermelon Volcano, Poop Criminal, Diego, Theta, Dark Tranquil, Chicky, No More Flippin', Sick Dr. Fan 84, Comfy Glitch X, Harry, Sanyu, Amara God, Noah T, Tamara, Dobcool, Casual Log, E West, Christian Rothfuss, Unreal Dinnerbone, Aiden Davies, Reef Edwards, Space, Amber Knight, Poison Cupcake, KCKC, Snarly, Connor Bell, Tom, Zach, Ertle the Turtle, Kustretch, Kylo Wade, Sophie in the Sky, Kai, Andrew Locke, Wasabi, Jessica, Mel, Hush, Toby-Wan Kenobi, Bill Fleming, Owen, Just Him, and Teddy Bite. To all of you, now and forever, thank you. Hashtag DWFan91 for showrunner. And with all that said, I hope you enjoyed the video, and I will see you in the next one. Bye bye.